Yay! Hey, everybody. All right, what day is it? June 11th. This is our jackpot call, and we're so excited. I'm totally sitting in the baby chair. I apologize. So if you see me like lounge back, it's because my back really hurts at night. And that's where I like do everything. Although I'm also known to fall asleep here, but I won't do that on our call.
You can't. I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is anybody well, I'm divulging my excitement around this, but is anyone having fun explaining the jackpot call to people? Is it helping you cast vision for people on your team around why we're talking about a jackpot, how many orders there are to be a jackpot, and the importance of that?
That's a great question.
Anyone?
I have actually been reaching out to my distributors, the ones who are not yet VFs, and trying to get them onto the 6 o'clock call, or I guess 9 o'clock for you guys. And I actually have had a fun time doing that. And I haven't before, but since I've been on these calls, I'm actually really excited to do it. Like, hey, these are helping me and they're great. So I don't have any team members yet to get onto this call, but definitely the VF one. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And really, I'm going off script now, but I just, that popped in my head. And so I feel compelled to share. But I feel like I've done, I don't know, a handful, like 6 different startup calls in these past couple days. And what I'm doing off the get-go, and I think that the more that you guys can communicate this to people who are starting early on, the more it empowers you and also puts that picture into our mind about moving forward. Because I started 2 people right before this call. And the first thing I said was, we're sitting down, like, we're going to do our orientation call. What is this sort of thing? And so I say to them, let this just be a number. Don't go past that. It's just a number, and we're going to break it down. But my goal to help serve you and have the best experience as quickly as possible is to help you bring on 20 customers as soon as possible. Because when we do that, we're going to get to this, but that helps you, with the help of a couple other reps, become a jackpot business. And at that point, it's like the first 2 calls that we did, we talked about, remember, we're our 5-1 and 10-2, what that means. And for those of you who don't know, we could go over that a little bit tonight if we want, but I helped them understand how to make that $500 to $1,000 paycheck depending on what they want. And then when I talk about, okay, if we're doing a 5-1, 5 orders, 5 new customer orders, and a new team member every month, how many months does that take to get 20 customers? So I help them paint that picture. There's my 20 customers. Okay. And when you get somebody to do that, each jackpot business below you creates an additional $200 minimum in your paycheck. And it's been so fun for me because I'm seeing these light bulbs go off in people's heads. So when they get to this call, they kind of have an idea of what's going on, is my hope. But I've been kind of like zooming out at the beginning and talking about that, and then zooming back in to talk about, 5-1. What is that going to do for you? How do we get you that, $100 bonus, that $300 bonus? But I just felt compelled to share that because I feel like it's been helping, even though it's a bigger concept, it actually is more simple. So
I love that, Kristen. And just to kind of piggyback off that, because for so long, it was like, okay, like when you first started a rep, and I know we don't do this anymore, but it was like, let's get you to DD. Let's get you to VF. Let's get, it was like these stepping stones. So people had that short-term vision of like, oh, I hit DD, I'm good. Oh, I hit VF, I'm good. But giving them that big picture from the start so they don't know any different, it is really what we want to do. So, somebody doesn't go, oh, I got my 8 customers or my 8 households to hit VF. Like, I'm golden. I can like sit pretty now. Like, no, they're pushing for that 20. And so what do they get is a really good paycheck experience, income experience. And that's going to excite them and keep them going. So I love that. Just starting off on the bat with people, just teaching them that is huge.
Anybody have questions around that? Any clarifications around these things?
So I do again.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your 3-way calls with the prospect or your distributor's prospect, and you are using that in that initial call with the prospect? Okay.
We just started to do that in the past couple of weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like what Kristen said too, it's really, when you say that to somebody at first, that might seem like, oh my God, that's a lot. But then when you break it down for them, like, hey, like what if we just did 5 new customers a month? They're like, oh yeah, like that's doable. So we kind of break it down for them from that big picture, and it seems less scary for people. And some people don't think it's scary at all, and we love those people.
Yeah, the last call, she was like, I think I could get 10. So I'm like, sweet, you can do that in 2 months, and whatever you do, you can show people how to do that, right? So, let them like make it be realistic at the same time, but like push them to dream. So Kim, I saw you unmuted yourself for a second. Did you have a question or comment?
It was answered. I was wondering if that scared people, like saying like 20 orders, like that would scare me. But when you break it down like 5 per month, that seems much more attainable, and I feel more comfortable like telling prospects that.
Right. And I feel like I'm kind of jumping around right now, but what I did is I painted that big picture, and then we've got those slides for the 5-1 and the 10-2 inside of the academy. So I pulled up here. I'll just do it right now. I put it on the minimum so we can just look at it from a distributor's standpoint. Where are you? I see you on my screen. There we are. So what I would do is I talked about the 5-1. And so this gal was like, I want to make $800 a month. So basically what I did is I showed her this is true. Our team works in these 2 packages. Yes, sometimes they vary, but I really focus on this. So I say, we can say, generally speaking, a shred order is about $100. When you take the average of these things, about $100 per order. So when you put in 5, you're going to make about $500. And I explain that concept of, the company wants to help you have an awesome income experience right off the bat. So they pay you the full thing. That's why you need, if you went and place orders the next month, you wouldn't have a paycheck, but it's okay because it'll stabilize after the second installment. But that's why I say it's so important to do that 5 orders or those 10 orders that next month, because you can be making that $500, $400 to $600 each month when you bring on those people. And then once you have that stabilized, you get, because we always put our products on a 4-month installment, we then are getting a quarter of each order per month, which will then have us creating a $500 to $600 paycheck. And because we've done that 4 months in a row, again, we're a jackpot business. And when we duplicate that below us, we get $200. So if you want a $1,000 paycheck and you're making $500 because you now have 20 customers on a shred order over the course of those 4 months, you've got a $500 paycheck. How many jackpot businesses do you need below you? Anyone? If you're making $200 per jackpot business below you and you have $500, yep.
Cheater.
Somewhere between 2 and 3, just go for 3 jackpot businesses below you. And here's the thing is, you'll have way more than that because you're going to be above you're going to be creating, you'll be at least a VF at that point. So you're going to be having something more like this, right? And that's when I say, oh, and by the way, once you have 8 households out of the 20, with separate credit cards, shipping and billing addresses, you'll also be receiving a couple bonuses that will equate to $400. Does that sound okay to you? So it's kind of like, again, oh, and by the way, here's this thing. So this is again, I'm so grateful that the Australians kind of thought about that, like zoom out and then zoom back in. So does that, any more questions around that now that I pull up slides or we're talking through it? Sweet.
And Kim, one more thing, when you asked about like that sounds kind of intimidating to somebody, it's also how we deliver it. So like my most recent rep that we signed up, like I was so easy and excited about 20 orders. I was like, yeah, we'll just get you 20 customer orders. And that's going to be so easy because I know that you know way more than 20 people. And she's like, oh yeah, totally way more. So when we comment like that of like, this is something really easy, everybody does it, we're going to help you do it. So when she created a list of 100 people for me, I was like, oh my God, you've got way more than 20 customers in there. We're golden.
And another, this is just like a word, but off of Kristen's, like, oh, you know, I know you love and care about way more than 20 people. Like it just kind of throws, oh yeah, I do.
I love that.
No. Sweet. All right. Well, Kristen, I'm going to pass it to you because that was my tangent off the beginning.
No, that's a good tangent. I like that. That was important. And it's good to remind people. Like, I think it's good for us to be reminded of how much we can make on a consistent basis with shred orders and how much we can make off of having people on our team who have Jackpot businesses. Drill it into us. It'll be good.
Yeah. And I think it honestly makes me excited every time I look at it because it's just like Juice Plus. This is really simple concept. Like we're working to keep our businesses as simple as possible too. And I feel like we're really kind of paving the way here in the United States for people to think about that. I'll be going to be really honest. Actually, Chelsea, you can come on here for a second. We were at a boot camp last weekend, 2 weekends ago now, which was awesome. But what happened when don't say who it was, but what happened when someone came on and started talking about, and this is how I'm not even going to say anything. I want you to share what happened in your head.
Well, there was a lot of information that was a little unnecessary just because of what we've been learning here on this call. But it was just that there's too many words and too many things and too many numbers that it made it very confusing. Whereas this just makes it so concrete and simple and just like, yeah, we can just go with this. So it was great looking at Kristen being like, we don't need this, right? We don't need to pay attention to this part. And yeah, so.
And it wasn't out of disrespect, but I literally wrote a note because there were so many new people right there. And I wrote a note that said, if you can focus on 20 customers and a Jackpot business, you don't need to worry about all these percentages and numbers. So anyways, I just wanted to, we're breaking it down. So with that being said, Kristen, we want to just like I'll pass it to you.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who were on the call last week, and if you weren't, hopefully you watched the recording, we are starting to open up this door of, yes, we want to talk about, like, as we were saying, getting those customer orders, getting you customer qualified, but thinking about leading with the business and building your team as well, because that team is going to create Jackpot businesses and increase your paycheck even more. So everyone's homework assignment was to try and share the business, lead with the business with 3 people. And it was kind of a bonus to do it while you were out and about, sharing with somebody random. So we want to hear from you guys how that experience was, how that success was, if anybody had any new team, any new 3-way calls. We want to hear from you guys. Nobody shared the business with anybody last week?
I did. So my daughter had, we celebrated her birthday this weekend, and a mom showed up with her daughter. I had never met the mom before, and I'd seen the daughter in class, but so we got to talking. I've never met this lady before, and she's at my daughter's birthday party, but I did share the business with her, and she is very excited, and I sent her a video, and I'm waiting, and we're going to follow up.
Awesome. So can you share with everybody how I'm so proud of you, Lindsay, by the way. I know Amy would be so proud of you if she was in the country.
Yeah, right. Yes.
So can you share with people how that conversation kind of transpired and how you shared it with her?
Yeah. So, she's a military mom. She's an Army wife, and our daughters really like each other. They were playing well together, and she was just sharing with me some of the difficulties that she has had traveling around as a military spouse and finding jobs. They actually had to be separated for a while because her husband was in Korea, and she needed to work. It wasn't working for her to be there. So she came back to the States, and she had to work really, really hard. And so I shared with her, like, well, she had also, she complimented me on, she's like, wow, you look really fit. What do you do? That was another part of it. And so I shared with her that I'm shredding right now. So I did not have the birthday cake and the burgers and dogs that my husband wanted to have for the birthday party. So I told her about that. And so back to the business, I said, it sounds like you have had some really hard times with your, where'd you go? It sounds like you've had some really hard times with finding jobs, and you're also health minded. It sounds like what I do might really interest you. Would you be open to more information? And she's like, well, yeah, I want you to tell me about the shred. I was like, okay, great. So we exchanged information, and I sent her a video, and in fact, I'm going to follow up with her tomorrow.
That's so great. How did it feel to have that experience?
Exciting, but it's one of those where I've been in this business a long time. I haven't always been working it though. And I think before, when I would be in conversations like that, I don't know what the block was, but the block just isn't there anymore. And it's more of I don't have anything to lose, and they could have a whole lot to gain. So it's like a no loss situation by sharing it. I just met the woman that day. I may or may not ever see her again, and I have something that could really benefit her and her family. Why would you not just say something? So yeah, it felt really good to answer your question.
So question for you on that. Like, what do you feel has been the shift for you for however long you've been in the business and this more recent thing? Like, what was it that maybe that was scary and now you're like, I've got an obligation?
Well, there's a lot of personal stuff behind it. And again, I don't want to use kids as an excuse, but I really felt like if I worked my business more, it would take freedom away from what I was trying to do with my kids, like whether it was volunteering in their school or, whatever. And I know that that's not the case, but in my mind, I just couldn't figure out how can I get organized enough to take care of my customers and to take care of new distributors and also take care of my family. And I will tell you this, at the last conference, that's the first time I heard about Team Z. And I asked I asked a sideline buddy, also on Amy's team. I was like, well, what do you use to be organized? She said, I use Team Z also. And that was the second party validation. And so I got Team Z and I got my shit together. And it's like, oh, I'm a checklist person, just like Amy is. I'm like, oh, I got to talk to these many people today. Okay, so we're going to do it. And it totally takes the brain out of it. It's like, okay, I can see what I have to do. And I think also too, being on the shred, oh my gosh, I have more mental energy than I've shredded before, but I think the first time I did it, all I could think about was how much I wanted a glass of wine in the evening and or a piece of chocolate or something. But this time around on the shred, I'm just I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. And I have so much mental energy. So everything's been fun. I have a new distributor who is awesome to work with. So it's just all just the timing. It's timing. I don't know.
It's energy. I love it. Yeah. I love it. All right. Who else reached out to somebody, met someone on the sidewalk, or led with the business? So, I mean, we're all learning from each other. This is fantastic.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Hi. Sorry, I'm driving, so hopefully, well, I'm not personally driving, but I'm in the car.
Ooh, we just lost you, girl.
Oh, really?
What? Now I can hear you again. Try one more time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going through Dow Junction in Vail. If you know, it's just not a good spot.
Yeah.
So I was actually able to connect with two good friends who I haven't had the courage to talk to about it. But once I got back from that boot camp and everyone was just like, why wouldn't you share? Why wouldn't you share? I was actually able to sign up 2 new reps last week. And they have such fire. Yeah, I'm so excited. And leading with the business, because both of them are kind of in a very similar situation as to me in my life right now. Just, you know, I'm working an office job. It's not my dream. And really learning how to dream again. And knowing that I can create my own life and being able to share that energy with them and that that's an opportunity has been really special. And when I can't remember who said it, but someone did say that try and talk to people that are in a similar situation as you. And for me, that clicked right away. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so many people in my life that we're all constantly like, what do we do? Like, how are we going to make money? You know? So, yeah, just spreading that love because it's such a cool opportunity that I stumbled upon. So why wouldn't I tell other people about it? Yeah.
That's awesome. And so what specifically did you say to these 2 gals that are now team members?
Yeah, so one of them I sat down and had coffee with last week, and I pretty much was just like, I was at this boot camp, and I think what I'm doing, you'd be really, really good at, and it could really open up a lot of opportunity for you. And, you know, then she asked a lot of questions, I asked a lot of questions, and I guess just putting that in their head, like, you'd be really good at this, and starting it off on that positive note was received really well. And then another girl, we were on a hike, and I think just talking to her about, well, first of all, hearing her story and then being able to say, you know, it's interesting, I experienced that in a similar way, and this is how I'm creating a solution for it. Yeah.
That's great. Well, and I think that, and maybe you heard it somewhere else, but Brian Marsh, the Australian last week, made that a really big point in his talk on Wednesday of like, you know, we can go find these other people, but why wouldn't we find people who are in it? That because we can speak their language and be really authentic. So good on you, Hannah.
Thanks. Okay, so that's where I heard it. so many calls, but that was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? We've got 5 minutes remaining, and would love to hear. So that's just inspiring. I think it's powerful. You know, we can talk about these things, but then to hear them from different points of view.
So I'll go a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, it's always in my brain, like I really want to recruit more teams, but actually like putting that into action. And I did like the not like in your face way or guns a-blazing way that Kristen said last week. It was more like just meeting people and having more like mindful conversations with them, and then reaching out to them through Facebook or text messaging, and just, you know, saying, hey, I think what I do would really interest you. Or also using the get over your damn self verbiage, like, hey, you're such a go-getter, or however she says it. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for those type of people on my team, that sort of thing. And lost my train of thought. That's all.
And well, did you spoke with some people with those words this week? Is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Any outcomes in particular that happened with that?
So like people, and what I was going to say is, rather than leading with like trying to get people to use the products or like saying how great the products are for them, it was more of like hey, how great is this business for you? So just like doing kind of what we talked about before, where it's like leading with the business more than the products. And then If they are interested in the business, great. If not, then maybe going to the products after.
Excellent.
And Ashlyn, selling herself short, she had people who are interested in learning more.
I'm just trying to like talk and like say experiences. My brain isn't working. Sorry.
So you took the indirect approach, which
Right.
and it's something that I had. I don't know if we talked about it on the call, but I know Ashlyn and I had talked about it. That when you are still really trying to learn how to recruit people, it's hard to go out guns a-blazing. Not everybody has that moment of like 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going to share with them. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with making that connection. Asking to add them on Facebook or getting their contact information and then sending them a message later of like, hey, like you were just on my heart. I was thinking about you because X, Y, and Z, I think this could really benefit you. Would you be open to checking it out? And that's what Ashlyn did. And it worked out really, really well for her. And she got some great feedback from it. And so I think that is fantastic.
Thanks for putting my thoughts into words.
I gotcha.
Well, and something else, Kristen and I were a part of a call with Jake Kelly recently, and it was such a good reminder. That's why I love these conversations. It's constantly learning or relearning or whatever we want to call it. Relearning a lot of times, like, oh yeah, I heard that, and I wrote it in a notebook 10 years ago or whatever. But Jake's like, I almost always lead indirect, always. And that was really cool for me to hear. Because I still am an NMD. I'll stumble around like my words sometimes, but working on some scripts right now. And even like I was writing one earlier today, and it was, I love the whole like you've got great energy thing, especially if it's real. If it's not real, don't say it. But you've got such great energy, and I don't really know if what I do would be up your alley. But I just felt pulled to invite you to this event. And I'd love to have you come as a guest. If I gave you an invite, would you want to check it out? So that whole, like, I don't really think that this would be for you, because then it causes people to be like, hey, wait, what is it? And so I was like, I've heard this, but maybe something to kind of put in your tool belt to play around with. Kristen, anything you want to say on that?
No, I love that as well, because it direct doesn't always work. And a lot of times too, and this is actually a tactic that I learned, those of you who have been in sales, that when you take something off the table from somebody, it makes them want it more. So when you tell somebody like, hey, you're probably not interested in it, you're taking it off the table. And it's like a sales tactic where it actually makes them want it more. And I was never good at that when I was doing pre-sales for the gym that I worked at, because it's hard, because you want to be very forthcoming, but there is really something very coy about being like, oh no, like this probably isn't for you. And they're like, well, I don't know. What is it? It's very, roundabout way of getting them to really pique their interest big time.
All right. Well, we are at time. And as far as homework goes, you guys are constantly tracking where you are for being a self-qualified business, that Jackpot business. So just knowing where we're at. There is so much month left in the month. And at the same time, I'm like, how is it June 11th already? But so this past week, you guys were practicing and having in your mind, who am I going to talk to as a stranger, and just start a conversation, kind of like Ashton was just talking about, and starting with the business. But how about, what about if you throw in 2 to 3, go 3 is always good, indirect approaches. We would love to hear how that plays out for you and how you can pull something away. Kristen, do you want to add anything to that I might be? Kristen and I are both very on point between being pregnant and having a wedding 2.5 weeks away.
I was like, we basically are sharing the same brain and we can't function. But then I feel like together we make it work. So it's totally cool. Yes. So we want you guys to practice different techniques. So last week you tried to the technique of, just starting conversations with people. Now we want you guys to try the indirect approach. And the reason why we're making these suggestions is to find, we have to do stuff that is comfortable and uncomfortable. So finding what works best for you, because there's not one approach that's going to be best for everybody. So indirect approach with 3 people, you know, and maybe it's somebody who you've reached out to in the past and they've said no. And you can even say to them again, like, hey, like, I know this wasn't for you and it's not something you're interested in, but you know, I was thinking you have such an incredible network and you love on so many people. You may know somebody who could really benefit this, you know, and it makes them be like, well, yeah, I mean, it gets their wheels turning. So trying the indirect approach, I think, is going to be huge. And it's going to get you guys to try a little different technique that's still leading with the business. And I love that.
Awesome. Yay. Well, we're excited to see your faces next week. It will be us again, and to come back and hear, oh, the PowerPoint. You know what?
I will your launch call, right?
What's that?
You got your launch call?
You know what I can do is I actually do have the PowerPoint. So this is what I'll do. I'll see if I can post it inside of the files, perhaps.
You might be able to upload it. Yeah.
Okay. I'll see if I can do that.
But maybe, yeah.
Okay. I'll see if I can do that. And then I'll also post, just in case, like the first time I was like scrolling through it, I was like, what are all these numbers? I'll post the video that explains it. But in all reality, keep it simple, right? 5, 1, 10, 2. How fast do they want to go? Get to 20 customers. But I will put that on there. And in fact, I'll go do it now. So we're super proud of you guys, and summer's huge. People are, you know, everything's colors, and there's a lot of skin out, and a lot of people that are just stoked on life and recovering from winter crud. So, you know, you've got a lot of different angles right now to help people with health, but to help people get into summer camps and all the fun things going. Let them see your, like, live in abundance, you know, be grateful for what we have. And allow that to shine through. And people, what is it that you do? How are you so happy? Just like Brian Marsh talked about, how do you create that curiosity and how you live your life on the day to day? So with that being said, we will see you guys next week, and I'll get that stuff up right now.
Thank you.